grabbing their shanks, just in case the war pops off, because you don't know what's next. My little homie, Baby Boo, took a pencil in his neck. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. This message is sponsored by HowMuchYouBench.net, The Slingshot, and the only strength magazine in the world, ThePowerMagazine.com. I know some of those rhymes are retarded, but they are fun and they're entertaining, to say the least. I wanted to show you this beautiful property behind me before I answer these bench press questions. Just purchased this lot today. Just kidding. This is my in-laws' place. They got olives, blueberries, chickens, donkeys, horses, all kinds of shit. Anyway, let's get to the matter at hand. We have questions to answer here today at the Power Project, and it's about benching. How much you bench? That's what everyone's always asking. The first question, one question is from a guy named McArt off the YouTubes. The other question is from a guy named Harmon. But in both cases, both guys are just struggling to increase their bench press. One guy's having trouble with the consistency, and one guy's just having trouble. He's just stuck. He's just flat out stuck. Now let's talk about the bench press. A couple of things about the bench press first. The one guy mentions that he thinks his programming for the bench press sucks. And congratulations, you're right. Because if you're not making progress, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You should always feel like you at least have a chance of making progress. And if you don't, then things need to change. There's an old quote that says the best program is the one you're currently not doing. And that's an interesting quote. It's a loaded quote that makes you ask a lot of questions about your training. But the point is, when you're training for strength, sometimes your conditioning goes down. You're training your conditioning, sometimes your strength goes down. When you train your lockout, sometimes your power off your chest goes down. See where I'm going with some of this? So, first things first, we got to address, where are you weak? If you're weak off your chest, you need to do dumbbell work. You need to do pauses. You need to train your shoulders. Remember the old school kind of front raises? Front delt raises? People aren't doing them anymore. Do those help you out of the bottom of the bench press? Of course they do. Kind of rev up the bottom of the bench press. Plate raises, Louis Simmons used to call them, where you just hold a 45-pound plate like yay and raise it up in front of you, holding it with two hands. Exercises like that are great. Doing a set of 10 of a front raise, a set of 10 of a side raise, a set of 10 of a rear lateral raise. So you got a bunch of exercises like that. A lot of times it's exercise selection and not just flat out programming for the bench press. Another thing to keep in mind is a lot of times when we're talking about the bench press, many people are thinking about the front of their body and not thinking about the back of their body. You got to train your back, you got to train your lats, and you got to train your triceps. Those are going to be support groups, support mechanisms, and even your biceps. Those are all going to be support mechanisms for the bench press to handle bigger weights and to avoid injury. If you're having trouble with your lockout, we need to do board presses. We need to do pin presses. We need to do close grip bench presses. We need to do tricep extensions. You need to try to get yourself in these unfavorable positions, and you need to try to come out of them over and over and over again so you don't have these sticking points any longer. So it's not just the bench press, and for both of you, hopefully you've been watching the Power Project enough to know that you can't train it heavy all the time. You're gonna have to train it heavy about every 14 days. If you train it heavy every week, it has to be done systematically. It has to be done with enough variation, enough variable to where it's not the same stimulus or even a similar stimulus every single week. What the F does that mean, people's coach? Basically, it means you have to either switch exercises, switch up your reps, or switch up your sets. So for both of you, what I would suggest is, and somebody mentioned this on the YouTubes already, and you know what? We got a phenomenon going on here at the Power Project, and I appreciate it. Some of you guys are stepping up, some Power Project Army soldiers, some generals out there are taking charge and answering questions for me, and I actually appreciate that. And I've noticed that the answers are good. That's the great news. So a lot of you guys are starting to use your heads for yourself, and that is the point of the Power Project. Hopefully I don't have to do this the rest of my life. Hopefully I can just do this for a little while. get everybody a little bit of education on how to lift, get their lift on, and then maybe I can move on to bigger and butter things. Butter? Anyway, neither one of you really went in depth with your program, and I know it's probably because I tell you guys to F off. If you send me too much information, I won't read it, which is true because I don't know how to read. So that complicates matters even further. Whenever you're trying to increase any lift, whether it be the bench press, the squat, or the deadlift, you want to take a systematic approach where you're trying to work towards getting stronger each and every workout. You want to build, but you got to build slowly. You can't try to build too quickly. You will get hurt, or your progress will be halted. The best way to go about doing this is to, in my opinion, is to do clean lifts, and to when you're picking your weights during training sessions, make smaller jumps as you get towards your heavier lifts. Now, in terms of like a program, I can't like sit here and like give you an exact program to do, but what I can tell you is that if you're not doing something like incline dumbbell presses, then you're doing yourself an injustice. You should be doing those every week until your bench press starts to move. Try those for a few weeks. If your bench press doesn't start to move, then try some pause benches with just regular barbell. You got to keep implementing these new exercises. If there was $1 million out here underneath some rocks out here, how many rocks would you turn over? How many rocks would you turn over to find that $1 million? You turn over every single rock. Leave no stone unturned in your training, and make sure you find that $1 million exercise that's going to take you to the next level. Let me tell you another thing. Mindset is going to be a key factor. If you go in there slumping in there going, I'm going to suck at the bench today. Well, guess what? You're absolutely freaking right. You already talked yourself out of bench pressing big weights, and you will suck for the day. So make sure you're not doing any of that shit. Make sure that you're keeping a positive mindset, and make sure that you're building success and building strength. You want to build, 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 build. Build your strength and not just test your strength. When you build your strength, when you continue to work on building your strength, you're going to build confidence. When you build confidence, that is going to build something that is going to be an integral part of you becoming a great lifter. Building that confidence, getting that swagger down, right? You got to build that confidence up so you can continue to get better, and then you can continue to make bigger and bigger risks as things move forward. Simple things, though. Pausing, dumbbell work, something like push-ups. Like throw in some push-ups at the end of your workout. Say to yourself, you know what, I'm getting in 30 push-ups at the end of this workout. And maybe, boom, you knock it out in 1 sec. Maybe you're good at push-ups, or pretty good at push-ups. If that's too lame for you, then maybe set it up at 50. But then you can work your way up to 70 and 80 and 100. However many sets it takes to do 100 push-ups before the end of the workout. There's other things you can do. You really want to get good, you want to get better, you're going to have to work for it. There's news for you. Take a band, a light band, from roguefitness.com. Like I think it's a red band. But take one of those bands, hook it over a door, hook it over something somewhere, a rack, and do 100 reps 3 times a week of tricep pushdowns. Make those triceps strong. Make that lockout powerful. You can bench twice a week. You can bench once a week. You can bench 3 times a week. But whatever it is you're doing now isn't working. So you have to make some changes. You know, they say the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's kind of what you're doing now. So you need to make some changes. I wouldn't recommend really bench pressing 3 times a week. I'm not a fan of it. I've done it before, and it can help, but there's too many other things to worry about. You start to break down the shoulder too much. My suggestion is bench twice a week, every third week. Don't do the conjugate system, max effort day, dynamic effort day. Every third week, skip out that dynamic effort day and turn it into like either a repetition effort method or an overhead press type of work. Or if you really like overhead presses, you can flip-flop the 2 every other week. Another great thing that worked really well for me, I know we're running towards the end, and this is a trick I learned from Rob Liando, And this helped me bench 555 for 3 back when I was fat. I can bench 510 now at about 250 and hopefully bench around 520 at 242. We shall see. Anyway, that's another matter for another time. But Rob Lando had me doing close grip bench press, thumb away from the smooth part of the bar on both sides of the bar. And you're going to do 3 sets of 5 reps. 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps. Sometimes about 4 sets, depending on how you feel. But you want to push it. You want it to be hard. You want to barely make that last rep, especially on that last set. How many boards you're going to use is going to kind of be determined by how tall and how long your arms are. But a 3 or 4 board is recommended. In some cases, if you really got a long stroke, a 5 board would even be recommended. That overload and handling that heavy shit at the top is really going to help you. It's going to help, again, build confidence. It's going to help you to handle some heavier weights. It's going to help build up the shoulders, build a lockout. The interesting part of that is it's going to help you through the entire range of motion. Don't believe me? Try it for 3 weeks and see how you feel. You're going to feel awesome. Another thing, lastly, of course, you can incorporate the slingshot. Whenever you're incorporating the slingshot, make sure you're utilizing pauses and make sure you're using the slingshot correctly. Make sure you're squeezing a lot of volume out of that bad boy and not just maxing out with it. And that strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv. Later.